day, week, month, and all of that. I hope if you're into sort of the Christmas stuff, you're enjoying the Christmas stuff. And hopefully you're all looking forward to your holidays. Today, I've got updates on the house. So we got the house. We haven't moved in yet, but actually after this, probably go pay the deposit for our new shop. And today we've got samples. We got 3 samples and last year. So this is the Alishan Winter, Firefly Winter. We'll talk about this. And I'm a little scared because I don't know whether these samples are going to work or not. Right. So I don't know whether these samples are going to be okay. I hope these samples are okay, but these samples very much might not be okay. They might not be okay. And we'll talk about why. And, we'll talk about why. And basically why is weather. It's weather. It's just weather. But that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing that. So this is last year's Alishan Firefly. Now, an update for shipping for the US. Now, I talk about this every live stream. I did a test, and I got people from the Discord. Again, if you want the Discord, just send me a message, and you can pop into the Discord. And I got people from... Those look like little tiny oolong balls. So that could be actually a good thing, or that could be a bad thing. Anyways, we're going to see, aren't we? I got awesome people from, those are really small. I wonder why. Anyways, this is 3 different days of the oolongs up on the mountains. But we'll get into that in a second. So I got 10 people from the Discord. Oh, those are a little bit bigger ball. No, they're still pretty small. Maybe good, maybe bad. We'll see. Anyways, we're talking about what the size of the oolong balls means. And I divided them in half. Now, again, this is for the United States stuff, right? So this is for shipping to the US, which has been a disastrous, horrible, terrible, very bad thing for the last... since September. So I guess it's going on a lot of months. It sucks. It really sucks. And I got 10 orders. So some brave people from the Discord. I opened it up to everybody in the United States. I said, get in there. You got like, I think it took about 3 hours or so, something like that. I said, okay, 10 people go make an order. It's open to the United States right now. 10 people went in, they made the order. And then I divided them into 2 groups. I had the control group in the sense of the gifts, because the gifts are getting through no problem. Sometimes they last a little longer. They go, like it takes like a month to get there. But the gifts, no problem. Gifts are going through easy peasy, easy as pie, like a happy birthday to everybody out there who got your gift. And I did some that were, half of them were merchandise. And I have connections in the post office, so I was able to squeak them in as merchandise. And on the side of them, I actually put a thing that said, basically, follow the damn law, you damn customs people. This is just tea. This is not supposed to be blah, 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 blah. So there's a sticker on the side of it that said, to whom it may concern, blah, 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 blah. And I threw it into an AI to make it sound more official. And executive order, whatever. And then I said, like, to control. So the gifts have already been delivered. They're already out there. They've been delivered. Or I think they have. Anyways, the ones that were sent as merchandise got cut in half. So anything that was sent to the west side of the USA that wound up in LA, through no problem. All the ones that are in Chicago are stuck in Chicago. They're stuck in Chicago. Now, I don't know whether they're going to be stolen, right? Because right now the customs people in the States, they basically steal stuff, right? It's like full on, like disgusting, totalitarian, blah, 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 blah. They literally steal people's mail with no recompense or recourse. They just say it's gone and maybe into someone's pocket, maybe not. And so we don't know whether that's going to happen. I highly doubt it. But if those mails, like if those ones that I was sent as sales went there and it didn't make it through, then I might have to open up shipping to the United States geographically based, which is pretty terrifying. You know, when you really start thinking about it, when you really go in there, you're like, what? Only the West Coast? Like, so it's actually divided. And we'll just see. Because Chicago is notorious for lots of different reasons. And one of the reasons is, of course, is that they're really slow. And so they're really slow. And so they're really slow. And so sometimes it goes through fast, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it doesn't. So we're just going to see what happens, okay? We're just going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. And hopefully it works out okay. Any questions about that? Throw them into the chat. Here we go. Let's get into the tea. Now, what are we looking at right here? We're looking at the perennial favorite, the Alishan Firefly Oolong. And if you actually want to go and really understand Alishan Oolongs, there's two. One is the Mayor's Alishan, which is from a lower elevation. It's about 800, 900 meters above sea level, and it's much more of a regular type of Alishan Oolong. I usually roast it myself, and so the roast is a little bit higher. And that's like what it usually is for Alishan Oolongs. And then there's this, which is higher. This is 1,200 meters, 1,100 meters, depending on which part of the garden they are. And this one is not roasted at all. It's just like Alishan Oolong goodness in the sense of a greenish, I've had the slowest shipments when transiting through Chicago. Well, yeah, well, that's it. And there's one person actually who had the tea go through Chicago, arrive to where they were. I won't say the city. And then they went, and then they shipped it over to like Philadelphia, which wasn't the city. And then it bounced around like 2 or 3 cities and then back. So to the city, to the other cities, and then back to them. And then they finally got it eventually. So let's hope it's just the Postal Service demarcation between the two different sides of the United States. Let's hope that's it. Let's just hope that's it. Anyways. And I haven't bought, like I usually, when it's made fresh this time of the year, in the springtime, they actually take all those beautiful leaves and they make all of the leaves. I can't buy the oolongs because they make, I can buy the oolongs. It's a GABA. But they take all of the leaves and they make a GABA out of that tea. So they take all of the leaves that, like these leaves here in the springtime, they pick it, then they make GABA. And then they let the GABA sit for 6 months, roast the GABA a little bit, and then I buy it. So that's the Alishan GABA. So these are all the same leaves as the Alishan GABA. Now, I didn't buy, usually I like, this is one of the best sellers on the site. People absolutely love it. And I bought a bunch of it in, like when it was made last wintertime, like a year ago. I bought a bunch of it in April. I bought a bunch of it in like June. And then usually I buy a bunch of it in September before they make it again now, but I didn't for obvious reasons. I delayed the purchase, and now it is finally done. Now, when I first took these out, I told you, I was like, uh-oh, I'm a little scared, and I am a little scared. And the reason I'm a little bit scared is because these were going to be picked the first week of November. The first week of November, these were going to be picked. And the problem with the first week of November was there was a typhoon. So there was a typhoon the first week of November. And so I don't know whether they got it picked. It's one of those things where I was talking with them in late October. I'm like, the tea out yet? They're like, no, we're picking next week. And I was like, oh no, there's a typhoon. And like, yeah, we hope it doesn't arrive. Well, the typhoon did arrive. Now, it only lasted for a couple of days. And then at the end of the first week of November, there was a couple of days of sun. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But we have it out in front of us here. And this is last year's Alishan Firefly Milk Oolong Winter. And last year's was really good. You mentioned the balls were smaller by looks. Do you think they were picked relatively immature leaves? No, it wouldn't be relatively immature leaves. What that would denote would be, unfortunately, likely a very uneven or machine cut. These, I think in the past, it's mostly hand-picked. I think they experimented with machine picking, but most of the time when they do this, it's hand-picked. But the problem with Alishan, and it's a big problem, a huge problem, is they just don't have labor. And I decided I was thinking about going heavy into the whole. Last time I was in Alishan, I was thinking about going into the whole labor issue because I was seeing these. I was seeing not the best labor practices. Let's put it that way. And not at my friends' gardens, but seeing them in other places. I was seeing this, but there's no way that I could really prove it, and I didn't know whether I wanted to wade into that compared to what goes on in say other parts of the world, Southeast Asia. Let's put it that way, in the sense of slave labor and you know, literal ethnic cleansing from an area and moving them to another area so that they'll pick tea. Groups of people, ethnic groups. I don't know whether I should get into that, especially with the Southeast Asia stuff. The stuff in Taiwan, if I really start getting into it, that's a big issue, and I'd have to do a lot more homework with it. And I haven't really, because here on the east side, you don't have to worry about the labor issues. On the east side of Taiwan, you don't have to worry about the labor because there's just no labor. So, you know, my buddy just buys a bunch of stuff, and the people around here, they do much smaller things. But in Alishan, there's just huge areas where they do have to bring in a lot of labor. In the higher elevations, they also do the same thing, but they pay a lot of money, and so it's not that bad. People that I've talked to up there, and especially too, I mean, let's face it, when you really boil it down to the way the world works, if you're dealing with organic farmers and they do have to bring in sort of foreign labor from a place like Indonesia or the Philippines or something like that to pick tea, the organic folks, they would prefer not to. They prefer to hire sort of their friends or locals, but if they do have to hire those types of workers, they pay them pretty well, right? They pay them pretty well. They treat them pretty well as well, from my experiences anyways. So this place, they bring in labor to pick the leaves, and I went on a rant there, but I don't really remember. Oh, the size, yes. So it could be machine picked, but what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to see what happens with these leaves. We'll drink them. We'll add another hot water to make sure the leaves fully unfurl, and then we'll go into this and really do a deep dive into what is possibly going on with these leaves. Now, you can see here there's 3 different picks. I know nothing about the picks. They're just 3 different little bags. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try them out. So one thing I can see for certain for all 3 of these is that they're, oh, this one's a little lighter, but their oxidization levels are higher than last year, which could denote that they are a little bit wet, because it's really hard to do low oxidation with wet leaves. Yeah. I can taste the weather on that right away. Unfortunately, I can taste the weather with that right away. And so when they go with the higher oxidization level with the Jinchuan and Alishan, that means that they are trying hard to get away the bitterness and astringency that might be coming with not perfect weather. And this is not perfect weather. Now, these guys have a clean garden, a beautiful garden. It's a really great spot. This would actually probably do really well with a good heavy roast on it. And sometimes they do a heavy roast on their oolongs. And you know what I'm thinking about? I'm looking at it, I'm thinking they probably did this on purpose. They probably upped the oxidization level on purpose so that in a month or 2, they do a heavy roast on this and create something that would be saleable, salvageable, and quite nice. But unfortunately, that's not what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this. Now, I don't know whether, you know, like we'll see, maybe we'll see how it goes with the second steep. But I'm afraid the weather was not good when they made these. Unfortunately. And that's, like I was saying, was the big danger. If the weather wasn't good, things like the clarity of the tea leaves as well is not so good. The clarity last year was just amazing. Yeah. Anyways, here we go. Next one. The aftertaste is on it is really nice, but I bet you could do with a nice blast of roast on it. Oh, this one's got the Nai Xiang. Remember, what is Nai Xiang? Nai is milk, or the essence of milk, and Xiang means like good smell, or like you say Hen Xiang, very Xiang, means it smells good or has a positive, not necessarily smell, usually smell, but positive aspects in this area of the mouth, right? Could be a nice taste and a nice smell. Doesn't mean only smell. It Hen Xiang, like you'd walk up to me, wow, oh, that's so xiang, right? That's so the positive aspects of milk fat are how I do Nai Xiang. And Nai Xiang, of course, turns into milk oolong, which is a complicated thing. But you can see here with this leaf, when you see a leaf like that, you're looking at a leaf that has been bitten by bugs, bitten by thrips, and you're like, okay, that's a leaf that has been let's see. Yeah, gonna get into there you go. That is a leaf. I'm gonna hold it there, see if I can get it as the thing. So that there, when you see a leaf like that, that's when you know that the agrochemicals are very, 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 very few and far between, if there are any at all. Now, it's not a 100% tell for an organic garden. This garden is not certified organic, although they're agrochemical free. They do use some organic fertilizers, but they are actually, wait a minute. The aftertaste on this is beautiful. I think we might have a winner. But for every single garden that I buy tea from, I'm looking for things like that. Every single one. I don't care whether they say, "Oh, I'm organic. I'm not organic. I'm this. I'm that. I'm whatever. Here's my SGS score. Blah 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 blah." If I drink their tea and I never see anything like that ever, then I know I have to be extra special cautious with them. And remember, I deal with like 50, 60 gardens. And so I try my hardest, right? The people that I know really, really well, I don't have to worry about it, right? But there's people all over the place. And when I'm drinking the teas, I've got to watch myself. I've got to watch how these things work. And so this one makes me happy to see that. But I don't worry about this garden too much, actually. I really don't worry too much about this garden at all. I've been there. I know it's called Firefly Alishan for a good reason. Now, let's go to the last one. Now, this one, yeah, the aftertaste on this is gorgeous. This one, the color is sort of the lightest. And the color on this one is the lightest. So let's hope that this has got sort of the most amount of like green, Alishan, florals, and that type of stuff. And it does. So whatever random reason, I have put them in order of oxidation levels. And this one really has that sort of Alishan-ness to it. The Alishan, what is the Alishan? The upfront vegetal, wide, buttery, tongue covering mid-mouth, fruit, sort of yellowish, ripe, stone fruity flavors in the backgrounds, with just a hint of two things. One, floral, and the last one, if it's a good one, a touch of vanilla. And this one has it in spades. Now we're going to go through these again. We're going to drink them again just to make sure. But this one has it in spades. Now, we're going to go through here. I'm taking a look at these, and I will pull out some of these after they've they've gone through now. Like I was saying, the oolong balls of these are a little bit small, so they were smaller than average, right? The oolong balls for these were smaller than average. Now I don't exactly know what that means. Now, what could it mean? There's a couple different things it could mean. If they're super, super small and they've been bug bitten, that means that this is a super, super high quality tea, right? Little small oolong balls with a bug bitten pick. That means they're only picking the top and they're rolling them into oolong, which is rare and can be absolutely spectacular. If they're little small balls for a really low quality place, that means that it was machine cut and it wasn't particularly well machine cut, which means that you're picking like this much and then you're cutting it like that. And oftentimes one leaf will actually make an oolong ball. So things like that. That's not necessarily like it tastes bad, but you don't want to be paying a lot of money for those, right? So that's like the elan stuff from elan is oftentimes that, because they, in this area you think you got problems with labor. In elan, there's like 5 tea gardens, right? They got a big problem with labor in the sense of hand picking, and so that doesn't work for them. Now, yeah, I think it's probably gonna be this one, but it might be this one. Anyways, we're gonna go back and try them again. And first thing with this last year's is I can taste the staleness of it right away. And I packaged it okay. I didn't really do anything too special with it, but these teas are beautiful, fresh, greenish, milk oolongs. And this has got all really nice flavors, but it's stale. It's from last year. I can just taste it right away. Just okay. Ball size. Oolong ball size. Sorry. Oolong ball size. Gotta be careful. Like just as an aside, because we're like a dual language household, the amount of dad jokes that I have access to is just like infinite, right? Infinite. Because so I'll give you a small example, right? In English, balls are testicles. In Chinese, it's eggs. Eggs are testicles. In Chinese, bird is like that's what you would call a the male phallus, and it's just endless. It's just awesome. It's my children obviously hate it, but for somebody like me with 2 young boys, the amount of dad jokes are just endless. Just as an aside there. How are the stems? Less than normal, smaller, just thinking about the ball size. Yes. Well, let's talk about the oolong ball size. And let's go in and what we'll do is we'll sample this for a second time, then we'll start taking out and expanding the oolong balls and see exactly what was going on with the oolong balls. Yeah, I'm not going to get this. Not going to get this one. This one is, they do a really nice roast up there, but we're not going to get this one. So let's take a look and see if we can figure out what exactly is going on with the oolong balls. Now, here is why this looks like it right here. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Now, look at this. This is way too long. This actually looks like a springtime pick. You can see this, look at this. This is what happens in the wintertime. Now, this is way thicker than a springtime pick. This is way thicker. But this pick, when you see something like this, you're not going to be able to do a nice, you're not going to be able to do a good greenish oolong with a pick like this unless it's a springtime pick. This is not a springtime pick. And so that's my guess is why this one is more, now this looks like it's hand-picked, but look how uneven it is. It's so uneven. So that's why they would have oxidized this more. They're oxidizing this more because they're trying to take out some of the bad stuff with it. Now here you can see this is a good sort of oolong pick here, like a wintertime pick. But you can also see this is picked by people that are doing it for weight. Because if you were somebody who was picking to get the best possible pick out of this leaf, you'd be picking it right here. But here you can see all this extra leaf shouldn't be in there, right? But they're picking it sort of like right here. So you can see here, what it should be picked up here, and this should not be there. But this is sort of a wintertime pick. Like if it was like this, your classic wintertime pick right there, right? That's your classic wintertime pick right there. But if you cut it here, you're getting less weight because of this. So it was obviously picked by people who wanted the weight and didn't really care too much. And then you get something like this, which is sort of like this. So what this denotes is they probably picked it after the rain. So this was probably picked either during or after the rain. And what that means, like if it was dry for a while and then it rains a lot, then what you're getting is a lot of growth all over the place on the tea plant. So some are going to be this big, some are going to be this big. But if you're a picker going through, you're getting all of it because you're putting that in your back, you're getting paid by the weight. And so this was picked by hand, but you get things like this, which are tiny. Look at the size of that, right? That's a tiny little pick. And so this is almost like a this is like a Oriental beauty pick, an Eastern beauty pick. But they were doing that because with the amount of rain and with everything that was going on, you're getting all sorts of different things happening, long and short. So you get something like this as well, right? So this is a longer pick. They probably should have just picked it here, but they're leaving this extra little bit in there for the weight. And so, yeah, so that's what this is. See if I can find any sort of cut leaves. Now, when you're looking at a tea that is picked by machine or picked by hand, the tell is here. I'll show you what the tell is. So you would get a leaf like this, right, which is a beautiful Jintren leaf, right? It would look like this, right? So this beautiful Jintren leaf, but it would be like this. So if you get this type of leaf, and you can see it here, right? You can see that leaf. If it looks like that, then you're looking at machine picked, because there's no possible way that anybody who is worth their salt is going to pay for somebody who picks their leaves like that. When you cut the leaves like that, you actually get some bitterness and astringency in there as well. Now, I'm not seeing any leaves like that, so that tells me that this was just a bunch of pickers going through a really uneven, really uneven tea garden with a lot of different types of growth going through it. And now we'll go through these and we'll see if each one is the same. But another one you can see here. Wow. This is another way to tell that this is sort of a wintertime pick, and some of these leaves were just over the top. So you can see here, this is fine. This is a little bit big, but you can see up here, this has all been, the top little part here has been sort of rubbed off, and it's during the rolling process. That means the leaves were really, 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 really hard during the manipulation phase. And then the top part actually came off, but it's still sort of there. It was really, really, really tough. And so that will tell you that this was, an older leaf. Now, the fact that this isn't extraordinarily bitter and astringent is beautiful, right? They're doing a really, really good job with it. I should have charged my thing here. So sorry, I'm gonna have to end the stream on the YouTube and the Facebook. You can join in on Instagram, but I'm sorry, I got to end them because my battery. I thought there was enough, but there isn't enough. So I apologize for that. But you can join in on the Instagram and see the last 20 minutes of the stream. Anyway, sorry about that. I'm just going to end them so that there's a